What's up, ladies and gentlemen? This your boy Stankysocks with some hip hop CD pickups. It's been a long time, maybe a couple of months. Really haven't found anything at the thrift store in those months of passing, but as of lately, the thrift store here in the desert, they got the hip hop stuff, y'all. Yes, y'all. I said, after ciphering through a bunch of religious and Spanish CDs, nothing wrong with religious or Spanish CDs. I just live in the desert, and at the thrift store, those are usually the things that you get. You might come across like a PlayStation 1 game or something like that, like Tomb Raider. I was hoping, to get some Tekken, but there was no Tekken there. But let's get to the show of what I got, what I picked up. This one actually came in the mail. This is the one that came in the mail. And this is Danger Doom, MF Doom, and Danger Mouse, or Danger Mouse and MF Doom. I used to bump this CD back in the day. I hate the fact that it's all like, it's all like messed up and stuff and all flimsy. I was promised, they said it was in good condition. See, that's the thing with ordering online and they don't show no pictures. Ask for pictures, y'all. But definitely, my favorite tracks on here, um, I like Sofa King. I like Basket Case. Basket Case is probably my favorite one because it's you always have that song you play over and over, but it's kind of like I just like the word playing. I like the lyrics on it, and Space Holes. Danger Mouse's version of Space Holes, not the game show version by Madlib, but do like Madlib though. Next up at the thrift, this is a thrift store pickup, and this is Jay Z. Um, Volume 3, The Lives and Times of Sean Carter. Um, I remember when this came out. Actually, this is, I think, 98. I was not a big Jay Z fan when Jay Z came out. Like, I was more of a backpack, more alternative, hip hopper. Like, man, I didn't like people bragging about what they had and what they was shining. So, anybody that was bragging like that, maybe with the exclusion of Wu Tang, because they, even though they was bragging like that, they look rough and rugged. But I wasn't a Jay Z fan until a lot of time. It wasn't just the bragging. It's just I thought the production was kind of outside of reasonable doubt. The other albums was kind of like, y'all saying he supposed to be the up and coming next dude. I don't know about that at that time until Big Pimpin' came out. Love Big Pimpin'. Love that beat. I don't know because it's Timberland, UGK, but definitely this will be, I haven't listened through this all the way through. There are some tracks that I do like outside of Big Pimpin', but definitely I'm glad to pick this up. It was only $1 anyways at the thrift store. Next up from the thrift store is a artist I'm familiar with, but wasn't I listened, to his stuff later on. It wasn't when he was out, his earlier stuff, and that's Master Ace. This is the Incorporated, sitting on Chrome. Master Ace Incorporated, sitting on Chrome. I remember that song. Da, 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 da. Easy. Sitting on, because I just remember the bass was bumping on sitting on Chrome, but I never was bumping this CD. That's because I just, like, and it's not this, you kind of like question your hip hop headness. Like, I was definitely a heavy hip hop head and bought tapes like as a kid, but I never really came across a Master Ace tape. I think maybe one or something like that. Maybe my homeboy had it, but definitely. Oh yeah, the other track I do remember was the INC ride. I think it has that Isley Brothers sample. Do, 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 the INC, yeah, I remember the INC ride, but definitely glad to pick this one up and have this in the collection. Got to clean it up a little bit because at the thrift store where I go to, to make sure nobody steals the tapes or the CDs, they put this big thick layer of tape, and so trying to get it off with Goo Gone or just soap and water kind of makes this a little bit difficult. But nice to have Master Ace in the collection. Up next is a actually I had a couple of their tapes back in the day, and this is Lords of the Underground's Keeper of the Funk. I don't think I had this album. I think my mom had this one. But definitely the song I do remember was what I'm after. I think this was like they said this might have been their second album, right? That I remember what I'm after is the gold and then the platinum. No, yeah, it's the gold then the platinum. I think it was a sample from Redman. I think, yeah. I just remember that in the day. Um, like this is like one of those groups. Like, okay, you got Fushnikins, them, and I want to say Daz Effects, right? Like, those mid-tier groups, like they're not like the ones that you're gonna sit there and say these are your favorite of all time, but you do respect them for the craft that they do. And definitely, I did mess with the Lords, but I wouldn't sit there and say, if you say if they were my top 10 like hip-hop groups of all time, maybe 35. If I actually sat down and I did a list, they'd probably pop up. But nice to have in the collection anyways. Up next, another CD from the thrift shop, and that is La Rock La Family, Jay Z The Dynasty. Um, the thing with, like as I said before, with the thrift store and they have it all taped up, is sometimes you don't get to be able to look at the CD and the condition of it. Like here, it's hella scratched. It was hella scratched, and it was hard for me to be trying to get trying to play it in a CD player, and let alone trying to burn it to my computer. But I do remember a couple of songs on here. I said "Change the Game" was the song that I do remember that single being played on the radio back where I was living. Definitely, like I said, at this time I wasn't. I said outside only people like I messed with in Rockefeller wasn't really Jay Z, but it was Beanie Siegel. Love Beanie Siegel. Like for me, I like dudes that was rough, rugged, more street. And Freeway. I think Freeway I think came a little bit later, but definitely loved Freeway like in early 2000s. But those were the dudes on rock that I was really messing with. Jay, it wasn't until really later on that I have probably a better appreciation for Jay than I did probably when I was like 17, 18 years old back at this time when this album came out. Up next, we have, I guess, some Latin flavor. You know what I mean? I had to pick this up. I think definitely some of the artists I'm familiar with and some of them I'm not. And this is like, I guess, a compilation album. It's called what is it called? It's called Spittin' Lingo All Stars. I know you got Frankie Cutlass, Huggy Boy. We got a lot of sticker residue on here, which bothers me. But anywho, definitely was listening to this earlier. Some really nice stuff bumping. Um, that Latin flavor of hip hop because we kind of just think that hip hop is just a black thing, and but hip hop is a mixture of a lot of different cultures. I said whether it be just from the standpoint of just where the sounds are coming from. If we're sampling different records, hip hop could, we're sampling rock. Well, there's elements of rock in hip hop. There's elements of reggae in hip hop. There's elements of Brazilian music in hip hop, and whether it's Japanese or Asian, the Asian influence in hip hop, and like it just isn't a black thing. Like, okay, this is just a black owned thing, but definitely here spit a lot of the stuff that I wasn't privy to because I lived in the Midwest and this is West Coast mostly. Yeah, it's West Coast and East Coast, but a lot of the Latin rap wasn't being played at that time when I was growing up. And like I said, I knew like of the stuff the mainstream that the radio would play, but that wasn't what I was bumping, or it wasn't played on the radio station, not even on the college radio stations at that time. Up next, we have an oldie but goodie. I own this tape maybe 3 times, and just for one damn song, because the rest of the album was like, yeah. And that is the Fugees' Translated Crew, Blunted on Reality. And you know the damn song I'm talking about. Vocab. No, it ain't vocab. The song that I used to bump all the time is the Nappy Heads. Mona Lisa, can I get a date on Friday? And if you're busy, I wouldn't mind taking you Saturday. Hey, the posse coming around the way. Hey. Now, that was a song. I said that's why I bought it. And sometimes on the strength of one single, you'll buy something, and you realize like, ugh. And when they came out with the score, then you like when they came out the score, and the score was way better, even though, in my humble opinion, it's overrated. And I'll get into that maybe one day. I'll talk about why I think the score is overrated, you know, as a hip hop classic. But definitely, you know, this and the score were night and day. It'd be like, somebody's first out. It was just that way. But definitely, Mona Lisa or Nappy Heads was definitely my song I bumped back in the day. Up next is a group that I didn't start buying their albums until later on. So I didn't buy this. I started buying their stuff towards the late 90s and going into the 2000s because I was really a Tash fan, a Catastrophe fan, and that is the Alcoholics Coast to Coast. Definitely, this is I seen this on the shelf and I had to grab it. It's like I'm trying to grab as much hip hop CDs that they have there, and now knowing that they're restocking a bunch of hip hop CDs. I, I'm just mad that I left ODB on the. I left the first ODB album on the shelf. Like, I was gonna grab the Jim Jones, but I was afraid if I grabbed Jim Jones that he was gonna do me like Fred Gibbs. But I don't know if that's true or not. I'm just messing. But definitely, this is I haven't listened to it just yet, so I'm gonna definitely I may do a review on it on my website and just kind of write down and have a little bit of fun with this album. But glad to have it on here. Up next is an album I didn't own. I think my mom owned this album when I was a little bit younger. I wasn't that young when this album came out, but this is definitely a 5 star or a 5 mic classic in my hand. And this is the first album from the Notorious B.I.G. Biggie Smalls, Ready to Die. Um, what can I say about this album? You know it's a 5 mic classic. It is a classic. It's just from beginning to end. And I don't think I've ever heard the whole album from beginning to end, just because we just love, I love it when you call me Big Papa and you used to be stuck on that song. It's like my brother, with Bone and Biggie, Bone and Biggie and Bone and Biggie. And that's like, dude, there's more songs on there. There's this song with R. Kelly and stuff on there. And some songs with some other people on there, Junior Mafia. But no, but definitely this is something I do want to listen to just for myself, to not just say, well, I know it was 5 mics in the source, but just something I want to be able to listen to. And why was it a classic? Really, if I was to do a review, what makes, and I think that's what I do with, especially when you come across like albums that were considered classics, what made them a classic? What makes an album a classic as opposed to just any old album that somebody puts out, because anybody can say the word classic, and that's something that's thrown around a lot, especially on SoundCloud and on Twitter. Everybody's saying something. This is a classic, and that's a classic. This movie's a classic. That's a classic, and it's like, instead of what makes to I guess if you ask me what makes something a classic, one of the criteria would probably be is how does it stand the test of time. Meaning, does when you listen to it or watch it years later, does it have that same effect as it did when you first watched or listened to? So whether it's a movie like the first Avengers, to me is a classic, and that to me that's one of the best comic book movies of all time to me, because how I felt in the movie theater is still how I feel today when I watch that movie over. It doesn't matter. I can sit there and watch that movie from beginning to end. I know what's going to happen and everything that's going to be said. But that feeling when they get to New York and they Avengers assemble and they just go about to throw down with these, robot, space alien things, that I still get that same chill how I felt sitting in the movie theater, and that's why it's a classic. Same with like, Biggie Smalls. How did it stand the test of time? not just in that era what it was, but now compare, with the stuff that's now, does it still compare, like, you know, and we'll find out. The next CD that I bought, and I was getting all excited when I bought the CD at the thrift store, outside of them scratching up the side and stuff. I hate when they do that because it just looks awful and I don't have a case to replace it. But the thing, and I was getting excited because I said coming across one of these CDs is like, look, because a lot of times when you try to buy somebody this record company, the CD prices are like 30, 40, sometimes $100, and getting your hands on one of these is just like, this is not something you sell. This is not something you give to your girlfriend. This is one of these CDs that you're buried alive with. You're buried alive with. Okay, and that is "See Murder Trapped in Crime." And I was getting all excited. I was like, "Oh no, I got a No Limit CD," and I was getting all, you get all excited. But like I told you before, at the thrift store, they put this big ass strip of tape, and then you got to try to get it all off. And then when I open up the disc, I open up the case like that. It is not "See Murder Trapped in Crime," but it is "See Murder Life or Death," which, and it scratched the hell up, which is like, damn, damn, damn. Which it's not a, it sucks because it's just like, I wanted "See Murder Trapped in Crime," not "See Murder Life or Death," and it's like, yeah, "See Murder," but it's just, it's how it is. It's like you open up a video game, you go to, like, buy a video game, and you open it up, you got Mario Kart, but it's really not Mario Kart. It's like Party 900 games and stuff. It's like one of those shovelware games, and you're just like, ah. Or worse, it's like the time when we had like a CD sale at the school, and I seen 8 Ball MJG. I think it was Space New Age or something like that, or Space Age Pimpin', and I seen that at the school, and it was $3, right? And so I bought it, and then I ran up to what, fifth period, and just getting excited, like, I'm gonna pop this into the computer, and I'm gonna listen to this while we in the lab, right? And then come to find out, right? That was empty, and I was, because it, like coming across, CDs like, 8 Ball MJG, they didn't have a lot of that stuff, like I said, where I was from growing up. And so you'd see a video or hear something, and then you're trying to get this CD. And at the time, we had the internet, but we didn't have things how it is now where you can sit there and order it. So it took me, a couple of years later when I got grown, where I can, and I ended up finding that CD, and it was fine now. But at that point, paying that money in $3 as a teenager was hard to come by. But anyway, next up, these are, I don't think these are from the thrift store. These are things that I ordered. Well, a couple of them I ordered online, and one I found at a bookstore. This one was I ordered online, and this is Wale's Attention Deficit. I want to sit there and say, man, I slept on this dude, Wale. Like, this CD, Attention Deficit, this is dope. Like, I slept on him. I'm sorry, Mr. Wale. If we ever come across and our paths ever cross, I want to sit there and say, Mr. Stankysocks, slept on your CD. I'm sorry. I apologize. This is some good shit from beginning to end. This is some good shit. Like Mama Told Me, Mira's, Pretty Girl. I love Pretty Girls. World Tour, 90210, I think is one of my favorite songs on here. But this is some good shit. This was a good. I look. I knew a Wale, but more like I said in the review, I knew him because I'd see him with the New Day, the WWE Tag Team Wrestling Group, and but yeah, some good shit. Some good shit, definitely. Up next is, I think I ordered this one online too, and that is the Far Side Bizarre Ride 2. She Keeps on Passing Me By. Definitely jazz heavy and sample. Definitely jazz heavy. Not like how I would say, like, Guru or Pete Rock or even like a Tribe Called Quest, but it's just like, just kind of some weird jazz samples and just kind of really childish lyrics. Like that's what I think is very childish. Like they're almost like kind of like an innocence, but not an innocence. You're talking about masturbating on one of the damn songs, but definitely this was I clowned him in the review just as a troll, but definitely this was something enjoyable. If you definitely into old school rap, you want something kind of immature, silly when rap was still fun. That's I think I said in the review too is that um a lot of this is when rap was fun. I think, like right now, I don't know if like rappers today really have fun or they're about getting the bag. And not to say that Farside didn't want to get paid or nobody else wanted to get paid and wanted to get the bag, but I think a lot of times in music that just people are trying to get the bag and it's like mother are you having fun doing what you do? Do you have fun? It's like instead of always trying to get the bag and telling me who you doing, who cares on who you having sex with? When I'm listening to your stuff, can I say, yeah, this dude is having fun? Like lyrically, like the lyrics don't have like even like a lot of like are you having fun? Like even the lines, like here they're silly and they're having fun and they're witty. Like even when you listen to the game, he'll drop some witty stuff. I know he does a lot of name dropping, but he'll drop some witty lines, and you can tell like yeah, it was some thought, and it was some stuff to mess with you. Or just even like you listen to DJ Quick, even though he like talking nasty and raunchy, but there's some lines in there. It's just like man, this dude just silly in the way how he's presenting it. And I said hip hop today just seems a lot different. I mean, there are still artists who do have some fun in their rhymes. Like, I'd say Open Mike Eagle comes to mind, as one of them. I would say Quelle Chris, Homeboy Sandman, I think his name is. Definitely, you can tell, like, the underground rappers or rappers we consider underground or backpack have a little bit more fun, in their rhymes as opposed to a lot of the mainstream artists. And that's kind of just like, I don't know. I guess it is what it is. Next up, CD, as I was talking about classics, and this man had a really good stretch of runs of albums, and that is Busta Rhymes. Um, what Extraction Level Event, the first one. The second one, I heard bits and pieces of it at like what last year or something like that. But we got to go back to the classic, and I think that's the thing. I'm not too sure how I feel about like when people have like volume 2 or volume 3 or whatever, and it's like having sequels of an album, especially if the album is a classic. But I don't know how I feel about that. Like if the first album was a classic, and are you telling me that this second or this volume, these sequel albums are they really continuations or are they just albums? As with the movie, usually like when movies do it, when they do it right, they're not just throwing a bunch of nostalgia in your face and say, "Hey, you remember this? You remember this? You remember this?" It's just placed in and it makes it fit. But definitely, this was my jam. I remember when I first got a car. I was bumping Busta Rhymes a lot. I think this is at this time I was definitely bumping this album. I was working at like 3 jobs in high school. It was weird. It was like a weird period of my life where I was working like my senior year. I guess I had like some kind of work study, but since I went to school half of the day, I worked another half, then I worked at another job on the weekend, and then I worked another. It was weird. I don't even know how I maintained that, but I think I'd end up dropping, one job, and that was at 2, and then I eventually dropped all 3 and just got something else. I got another job, but at this time, definitely was listening to this and bumping. We had the Janet Jackson song, of course. I like, we're about to take it um, to the death. I said, give me some more, of course. Definitely, this is a dope album. Like I said, the wittiness and fun in the lyricisms and a lot of stuff where you don't hear a lot of that, and or maybe I don't because maybe I'm not listening to enough mainstream stuff to say, oh yeah, 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 yeah. That's some throwback to But this next CD I got at a bookstore, and I got it for $1, and it was this cat I never heard of. His name is what is his name? His name is Prime Minister. Yeah, Prime Minister. And I bought it because I was like, he got MC Hammer as a guest on this album. I just thought it was gonna be something like I was gonna do review and I was gonna trash. But I was wrong. And I said sometimes you can't judge a book by its cover. You look at this and you're like, oh, it's gonna be some gospel rap. Gospel rap is, for the most part, it's cringy. But I'm gonna be honest with you. This was some good stuff, man. This was a really surprising album. Like the second half of the album is probably my favorite half of the that really it got better. Like this is kind of was starting off, like Jesus this, hey, rock on, yeah, do your thing, Jesus. But as the album started to flow, and it still was rock on, Jesus, have fun, but it was just some dope beats, and the rhymes was definitely dope too. And it made me think differently about how I look at Christian music or Christian hip hop music at that. Definitely, this was a surprise. I said Prime Minister, Inside Out is definitely it's dope. I mean, definitely, if you can find a copy of it or something like that, or even just find some songs on YouTube and bump them. I mean, he was bringing some heat. I said the beats and the production was tight too. And I said you had Hammer on a couple of tracks, and actually, Hammer was dropping some bars, man. I know we clown Hammer for dancing and stuff, and I know his reputation is a lot different than what we thought it was on the outside, and not knowing what was inside. But definitely, I'm like definitely. What can I say? That Prime Minister, it changed. It's like sometimes, like I said, you can't just look at something and you think something is what it is. Sometimes it's not. That's the hip hop CD pickup. I don't know when I'm gonna do another one. I might do one at the in the new year or whatever. But definitely thank you for watching. For this almost 30 minutes. Until next time, my name is Stankysocks for the CD pickup. Peace out. Pow, pow.